9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Are you ready?
The CJ Howard Show. Now let's go to CJ Howard.
A beautiful Sunday evening to all, and welcome to another edition of the CJ Howard Sports Talk Show. We are live from my apartment in Haseburg, Kentucky. We are here for the next 2 hours with you. We want to hear from you. We want your questions. We want your comments. If you want to make a phone call, I can talk to you. And if you got something you want me to ask Tanner, I can relay it back, and he can relay the answer back to me. I want to welcome everybody here. You can watch us tonight on my Facebook page. You can watch us on the CJ Howard Show page. You can also watch me on the DED Sports Network, or if you're on YouTube right now, you can see us on YouTube. Phone number for the show is 1-502-849-9320. If you want to give us a call, you've got a good guest list. I've got my main man with me tonight. He's been real busy putting law and order in the world here in Kentucky and throughout the Appalachian Mountains. So, but let's give the guest list and we'll get to Tanner. Post that Corey flip with us at 8:10. Corey messaged me and said he may be later than what he thought. So we may have Corey at 8:10. We may not have Corey at 8:10. We may have Corey later. We may have Corey earlier. I don't know, but he's planning to be here at 8:10 if he can be here. They were having a late practice. 8:30, we're going to talk to the great Dave Baker as he gets us ready for the Kentucky game on Saturday. And 9 o'clock, we're going to talk to Coach Mark Dixon of the Perry County Central Commoders. Tough night Friday night there for the Commoders there in Somerset, but playing the Somerset team that is really, really good. And Jack Dibbler is going to join us at 9:30. What we're going to do something a little different this year. We're not going to try to use the same person at YMT. Jack's going to go 1 week, Armando 1 week, Audrey 1 week. So we get a different variety, and they all get to do the show at least one time a month. So I think that's something different and something new for each of them. They don't have to, because, sometimes they may be off, and we're going to do it that way. If there's 4 Sundays, which is a lot of times, Armando would probably do 2 of them. So we'll go from there. But Jack's going to join us at 9:30. Joining me, the main man. If you need a lawyer and you can't find a good one, well, I got you a great one sitting right here in front of me. Tanner Haseburg, attorney at law. You can find his phone number in the book or look it up on Google, and he'll be able to help your lawyering needs. Mr. Haseburg, welcome, sir. Tanner's also busy doing his draft right now. We're not going to reveal any draft picks till maybe later in the show, but he's doing a very fine job, and I told him I was very impressed with some of his picks.
Well, CJ, you were the C clairvoyant because you were able to successfully predict the pick side. So you need to join a fantasy football. And since I know we're not going to reveal any picks, but this is my setup right now. I got the draft here and down here, and then I got the CJ show here on my phone. And by the way, for the folks at home, this is ginger ale. Let's get the rumors get started. Burners, ginger ale.
I was not going to say nothing, but Tanner wanted to get that out of the way. You see, that's the lawyer talking in him because, he doesn't want you to say, Tanner was drinking whiskey on the show. Oh, no. Now, if that's on TikTok, it'll be banned because you hold the glass up, and on TikTok they see the glass. Oh, we got to suspend you for 5 days. No, I better not say that. TikTok will be after me then. But people jump to conclusions, and you don't need to do that these days. Ginger ale's great. I don't like it, but it's good. What kind is it? A&W? Not A&W. What's it?
Well, I feel like we should be getting paid for some product here, but this is Verner's Diet.
There we go. 0 sugar. Yes, I see that. Well done. You did not do week 1 with John. I think it was Steve Black was with John. They had a good game. A lot of controversy.
Correct.
Not going to get into that. I don't want to. Great game. tough loss for Leslie County. Good win for Petersburg. A lot of people you've seen, if you saw Facebook, some sad people and some disappointed people and some not so disappointed people. Games happen. We had a lot of. Friday night just took my breath away. There were some teams out there I wasn't for sure I know it's week 1, but there were some teams that did not play to my expectations. And there were some that played over expectations. I thought Pulaski both would have a tough time. Both North did win and Log Mountain. You talk about and I know Bell didn't lose a lot. They had a whole team coming back. But North Laurel did a really good job of controlling tempo. And I thought they took Bell out of where they really wanted. And Bell didn't run the football well at all. And I know they missed Daniel. And it's going to take them 2 or 3 games to find that next Daniel Thomas. I think that was a surprise. And Pulaski County, Beechwood beat. Beechwood was finished. And I thought they let them off the hook. I thought that Pulaski County didn't take advantage of 2 Beechwood turnovers early in the game, but Pulaski County showed me that they're a lot different under Coach Burns, because you can tell the teams that were ready to play from the teams that was not ready to play. There was a few teams though that had some difficult matchups, but there were some teams I didn't think they even showed up. I thought the most impressive 5 teams Friday night was Letcher Central, North Laurel, Whitley County. I thought Prestonsburg was better than I thought they were going to be, and I was impressed with Haseburg. I thought the Bulldogs – listen, they scored 50 points. Tanner, they didn't even score 50 points all last year. I mean, but we talked about with Coach Matt last week, you got to stay healthy, and you have to be able to keep the same 11 on the field at all times. And Mark County's a pretty good football team, and they just wore them. Took them to the woodshed. So, those were my 5 impressed teams. Now, some teams I thought, I thought the best game of the whole night was probably the Beechwood Pulaski County game, and I was really impressed with Corbin. I know Pikeville's a good football team. I know Pikeville's a tough schedule. But Corbin is different under this new coach. And so let me get your thoughts, because I know you was watching it from whatever you're doing, and get your thoughts.
Yeah, so a lot of good points brought up there, CJ. I'll be on the call next week, Pike County. I wasn't all of it last Friday, but following all of the action. And I live in Prestonsburg, so naturally a lot of people who I'm friends with think about that game, and I followed that game. Tough one for Leslie County. Again, not to harp on controversial call, but that was a coin-flip game, and Prestonsburg. I can tell you this: there were a lot of folks in and around Prestonsburg. They weren't sure how strong the Black Cats were going to be this year. They lost some talent to graduation. They had 3 or 4 players transfer, and they were how many games that Prestonsburg would even win this year. Now Prestonsburg is 1-0 going into the Pike.
Okay, you're cutting out, Tanner. You're cutting out.
Hear me a little bit better now?
Yeah, that's a little bit. Yeah. Go back and see what you're saying, because nobody heard it.
Right. I was just say Prestonsburg could be 2-0 now if they win at the Pike Bowl this coming weekend after playing their first on the road, coming back home to face Paintsville. So I think that they'll be a team to keep an eye on throughout the course of the year. And, some of those other games down toward the Cumberland Valley, like, the Bell County, North Laurel, Pulaski, I'll defer to you on that. I didn't see those teams. I was surprised by the margin with which Hazard beat Martin County, because Martin County has been a pretty tough program over the last few years. Hazard with a new coach, Matt Chandler, my friend, He coached at Rowan County a while back and is from Letcher County originally. So he's come back to the region and has, I follow him on social media. He's done a lot to build that Hazard program, and you want to see them get built back up. So a good opening night, sort of like an appetizer when you go out to eat at a restaurant. That week 0 is the appetizer, and then to me, the high school season begins in earnest with the Pike County Bowl going forward. So those are kind of my thoughts. Again, from not being out on Friday night, this Friday and Saturday, that'll be my first time out at some games. But I thought it was a pretty interesting start to the season.
Two teams I failed to mention. Harlan County with a nice win last night over Middlesboro, just taking them to the woodshed, and a great win for Paintsville. Paintsville looked a lot better than I thought they were. I mean, Floyd Central, a lot of people was high on them, and they just beat them down, beat them hard. I mean, that was just a good win for Coach for Paintsville.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the mountain. Let me get it up here on the mountain top 10. I'm gonna give my week 1 top 10 here in a little bit, but 5 or 6 of the top 10 teams lost in week 1 into week 0, and that's unusual because 2 of them was playing each other. Mm-hmm. Actually, 2 teams. 2 different games with top 10 teams playing each other, Belfry and Breathitt, and Pikeville and Corbin. So, Pikeville's got to come. I want to see how Pikeville and Johnson Central both come back this week, because Johnson Central up 14-0 and control the game. Second half, they get nothing done. They end up losing by 2 touchdowns. And Pikeville, it seems they had so many problems moving the ball against a Corbin defense. Corbin lost a lot of kids off that team, but I feel like Luke Salmons has plugged in some new kids, and I felt those new kids just grabbed onto the Corbin tradition, and that defense was just, Pikeville to 7 points. That's impressive. I mean, anywhere. I don't care if it's on the road, 2 places, 5 places, impressive. And we were concerned about the new coaches. Let's see. Let's actually look at this one. Let me look. Matt Chandler won. He's at Hazard.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Salmons, Corbin, he won. Coach Burns at Pulaski County, he lost but should have won. South Laurel, Coach, former Pulaski County coach, Coach Hines, he won. Hardin County's new coach, they won. I think of all the new coaches, we got 12 of them. I think only 2 of them lost. So we had 10 new coaches win their debut.
Mm-hmm.
That tells you that kids might be responding to new voices. And, I mean, what do you think about that? Because that's impressive. Usually you don't get a first-year coach winning their opener a lot of times because kids don't respond to them, and it takes 2 or 3 games. I feel like that these, and it was, impressive. I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, CJ, that I hadn't thought of. And I think when you do keep doing the show throughout the course of the season, it would be an interesting sort of plot point to check in every so often about how these new head coaches are doing. And it's all about bringing some new energy. It's not just about, obviously it is about a fresh perspective and a new scheme, new X's and O's and all of that, but it's just a new energy in some places. A lot of times, there's a changing of the guard and there's just a new voice needed. I think that's what John Calipari said when he left Kentucky is, the program needs a new voice. And there are a lot of high school programs with new voices this season, and you just mentioned some of them. So it'll be interesting to see if they can keep this momentum that they appear to be building at the beginning of the season going throughout the rest of the year. But it's great to see, too, because, a lot of these new coaches are from the mountains, but some of them are not. They're coming here to the mountains, and we want them to have success. We want them and their families to stay and build these programs. And so I do think that's an interesting point, and I agree with what you said. Yeah,
ain't no question about that. some teams that were impressive on Friday night that won. Betsy Lane was really good. Betsy Lane, they just killed Berea. And very solid. Some other teams that were I thought were impressive in week one. We talked about most of them. You know, I do want to comment on Knott County's football field. Did get the opportunity to see pictures, but they showed the highlights. That's a beautiful stadium, Tanner. And I got to give credit to the Knott County school system and people for giving them the opportunity to be able to play on such a nice surface and place now. New bleachers, new press box, brand new field. I feel like for the first time they're letting the kids at Knott County have something good to feel good about.
Yeah, I've actually never covered a game there. I may have shot a game there once for Sports Overtime, but I've never broadcasted a game there. Have you been to Knott County for a game, CJ, football?
A bunch of times. I was when I used to at Leslie County, one of the most memorable games of all time. Leslie Knott District Championship. Tim Couch's junior year. I mean, it's coming a monster storm. I mean, you got mud puddle after mud puddle. It's one of the muddiest games ever. Les County wins big, monster big. And Knott County was actually favored in the game over a Tim Couch team because Knott County had Jay Cobb as their head coach. You all know Jay Cobb is now the head football coach at Trinity. Jay's been there, 4 years, 3 years now, 4 years. So, and I've been there a lot of times in Knott County where, I've done games for Prairie Central. I've done games for Haseburg when they played there. Looking at the new digs, dig was really nice. Let's see. Somebody else opened up with a new turf field. Williamsburg's going to be opened up this week on their new turf field. New press box, updated their bleachers. They got a new turf field. And we were talking last week, me and Thomas we were trying to figure out what remaining schools do not have a turf field. Every school does have the nice lights, the flashing lights when you play music and stuff. We do know that every school has that now. Mm-hmm. I have come to the number of the 6 schools that do not have turf.
I bet you are the only one who knows that statistic.
Well, the only reason I wanted to know that is because a couple of the, I was surprised by 2 of the schools because I thought they would have already had it because Belfry having it, and that would be East Ridge and Pike Central. Mm-hmm. Both still have grass fields, but you would have thought maybe even Phelps has got a turf field. Marty Casey Stadium. Then, when they redone their stadium, you eventually think someday East Ridge and Pike Central will probably get it. Breathitt's going to be hard because they live, it's hard to put a turf field beside a riverbank because you're going to get flooded. If you flood that turf, it's, you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's hard. It's real hard. So they would have to probably – Breathitt's going to have a hard time unless they put a wall or something up there that keeps the water from coming in there. I know there's 3 more schools that I'm missing, but about everybody is with turf now, and you can tell the difference in play. Kids want to play more. They play harder. I think they don't have to I heard one coach say, turf's a good thing and turf's a bad thing. And the kids say, no, coach, it's a good thing because you don't have to play in that big, thick mud, or you don't have to play. You're going to get rug burns. Yeah, and you're going to get a few injuries, but the majority of the kids love playing because they think they're faster. And some ways they are. I mean, you look at the situation. You're going to be going to 2 places this coming Friday and Saturday in the Pike County Bowl, the Cam and Belfry, and Pikeville. Pikeville's done a lot of remodeling down there now. It's new. They redone their surface. It's the first time in 10 years. I think you do it every 10 years, you remodel. So they got new turf down. They've done some work to the bleachers. I think they also have done some work to their press box. They've done, I think they've also, if I'm not mistaken, have now put a turf on the baseball field. Mm-hmm. If I'm not mistaken. I think I've heard that. Corey would know more about that if we get the chance to talk to him. But then you're going. See, Friday night you'll be at the Can. Saturday night you'll be in Pikeville. So you know, and the Pike County Bowl is a really exciting time because you get an opportunity to see teams. You're going to see a Lawrence County team playing the Pike County Bowl. When was the last time they played the Pike County Bowl? It's been a while. You know, you got what is it? Lawrence County and let's see. Friday night it's Lawrence County and the first game, Lawrence County and.
Well, I know Martin County's in the Pike County Bowl too. Let me get the schedule pulled up.
I know. Saturday it's at Pikeville. It's Prestonsburg and Pike Central, and then in game 2 it's Johnson Central and Pikeville. Now Friday night it's GRC and Belfry, but is it Lawrence County and Martin County?
Pike Central and Martin County, I think.
Okay, at Belfry.
Correct.
And then Saturday that would be Prestonsburg and
East Ridge.
And East Ridge. Okay, so Lawrence County's not playing. I thought they were. Somebody said they were, but I wanted to look at it for sure because I wasn't for sure. So 4 good games. Competitive games should be. I want to see Belfry against GRC because they took a Breathitt County team who I thought's pretty good, beat a pretty solid. So, but I know you're looking forward to it. Talk a little bit about the Pike County Bowl because I know a lot. This is one of the most prestigious bowls, just like the Mount Classic. The Pike County Bowl is right there with it.
I agree. And, you know, by the way, CJ, it's now Haywood Stadium after Philip Haywood. I still call it Cam Stadium. I guarantee I'll make that mistake at least once on Friday night. I give myself a mulligan. It's been Haywood Stadium for a couple years now, but for years and years.
I call it the Cam. That's what I've been known. I didn't know they renamed it.
Yeah, we got to get you up there for a game. But
I really want to go. I've been there one time. I watched a playoff game, 2009, 8, when they first built it. And I just was amazed. I said, God, this is the best looking field I've ever seen. I really want to go back. I would love to do a game there because that would be really that's a bucket list thing, you know, I would like to do. But, you know, when the Pike County Bowl comes around, people get excited. And, you got, I think, 4 good ball games. You guys are going to have you got your hands full. Is it going to be you and John both nights?
I believe so. Yeah, I texted John a week or so ago when he told me he was in for the Pike County Bowl. So he and I will be doing everything we can to save our voices for all the action on Saturday. It's a long weekend, but especially that game on Friday night because they usually have to start the first game late because of heat delays. And then the second game, you know, the Belfry, they do some pregame festivities with it's their first home game. And so it's not unusual for us to be on the air after midnight. We've been on the air actually past 1:00 in the morning before. And for anyone who actually will stay up watching me at 1:00 in the morning call a high school football game, God bless you. And drop me a line and let me know if you're actually watching past midnight on Friday night.
Tanner, I will be glad to watch you at 1:00 in the morning. Trust me. There's no problem with that. We can do that. We are now honored to be joined with us now is the head football coach of the University of Pikeville, Mr. Corey Flipp. Coach, welcome to the show. I didn't mean to bother you in your busy schedule, but I'm glad you were able to get with us. Can you hear me, Coach?
Breaking up pretty good there. Sorry.
That's okay. Can you hear me now? We can hear you, Coach.
I don't know if it's working.
Okay. Can you hear us?
Try that one more time.
Coach, can you hear us? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's clear now.
Hey, how was that practice this evening? How'd you guys do?
It was pretty good. Pretty good. Wasn't too bad. We had a pretty good one with the Sunday night practice. We played Thursday night because the Pike County Bowl this week. So we usually don't practice on Sunday nights, but you know, this is really a Tuesday in the grand scheme of game week when you're looking at a Thursday night kick. So it was a good one. We had a good spirited practice. They had that day off yesterday, so I thought it went real well.
Big week in Pikeville. You guys play Thursday night, the Pike County Bowl Friday and Saturday. One night at Belfry, one night at Pikeville. Let's talk about your team a little bit, Coach. You opened up on Thursday, as you said. You can tell me the opponent and tell me how summer workouts have been. Are you happy? I know a lot of coaches, it's game one, but you got a lot of new faces, but you got some really talented kids that you have to be tickled to death with.
Yeah, absolutely. We thought we had a great summer camp, and everybody's coming out of it fairly healthy. So that's always a big thing at our level with 25, scholarships. You're always concerned with, your depth and the health of your team. So really returned a good group. Still got some of those super COVID seniors working on their master's degrees. So we returned the conference player of the year this last year. Lee Kirkland, our quarterback, he's a big old joker, 6'6", 270, plays quarterback for us. And, he's kind of the heart and soul of what we do offensively. But, if you look at offense, we return 2 all-conference offensive tackles and, some interior guys that are really going to help us, and, some receivers on the perimeter like Diego Soto. And then, we got some local products there on offense too. We got both the Scott boys, Grant Scott and his brother, Jordan Scott. Jordan started off at EKU and didn't quite work for him. And he went and he was actually teaching full time. And when we signed Grant to come play tight end for us from Pikeville, we got the older Belfry product along with it. So, feel pretty good about those two guys. And then defensively, we feel really good where we're at on defense. Returned a lot of all conference performers there too. Both of our defensive ends, Ben Tate, has been around the program a long time. Myson Livingston, both those guys, working on their master's degrees in business administration. So they come back as all conference defensive ends. And, we've got a few local guys over there too. And, Landon Hammock playing defensive line for us, from Pikeville High School, who went off to EKU and just wasn't quite a fit for him, came home. And, same thing with Brett Coleman from Belfry, who went scholarship to the University of Miami, Ohio, and came back to the mountains. And, we really consider local anything from probably Ironton, Ohio to Johnson City, quite honestly, anything right down 23, right down that stretch. So we picked up Trevor Carter, who was a Rivals 4-star linebacker at the University of Cincinnati, originally from Ironton, Ohio. So I think he's going to add some great depth to our defense. And, we feel pretty good about who we are and what we're doing. Put in a ton of community service in this fall camp and a bunch of different things already. So, return a team that was a 3.2 GPA that, fell short of the conference championship by a double overtime loss last year to Reinhardt University. And we're picked second in the league. Reinhardt got 4 first-place votes. We got 3, so we were a close second. So I think people expect us to do some big things. And we're receiving votes in the national polls. So I think a lot of people think a lot of the University of Pikeville and our football program right now. And, I'm just trying to be a good steward of those guys' talents and manage a few different things. I took on the role of athletic director here in recent months with Kelly Wells' departure to Morehead State. I encouraged a few guys to apply, and they kept telling our president and provost and folks that, I think you ought to just give it to Corey. He's done it before at Kentucky Christian. Think he might do a good job. And so, unfortunately or fortunately, I've fell back into that role, and I do love it. It's not difficult for me to manage both. My coaching staff's doing a great job, but we've got 26 sports here at the University of Pikeville. Started scholarship bass fishing, and 650 student athletes are on campus right now to start the fall semester, and a lot of those kids are from the mountains, on either side of the state line or from the Commonwealth in general. So feel really fortunate and blessed to be a part of this university and this athletic department right now.
I'm excited about your team, Coach. I'm excited about the whole conference in general. You guys are going to be a lights out. Reinhardt's going to be really good. Union's going to be much better than what a lot of people give him credit for. I think the University of Commoders is going to be a ton better. You got some Kentucky Christian's going to be much. This whole conference is going to be a whole lot better, and that's going to be a task every Saturday that you go out there because but all these teams are recruiting better, and we're starting to see I love, me personally, I'm a big-time fan of NAIA football. I love to watch Pikeville versus Union, Cumberland versus Union, Reinhardt versus Kentucky. I'm that type of guy because I like that type of football because it brings a twinkle to my eye. These athletes deserve as much credit as the big-time kids in Division I. And, I just love to watch all them games.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting deal right now in all of college athletics. If you look at it, we've really damaged the ability to create tough people and to really use athletics as a tool to develop young people. I mean, it's absurd that what we've allowed the NIL model to do. And trust me, if a kid can make money, I want him to make money. But, I think it was pretty great line this week. Coach Gundy out there at Oklahoma State's one of the longest tenured coaches in all of college football. And he said, tell your agents that negotiation time is over, that we're going to play a season now. And, so for us, not much has really changed in terms of how we operate and the things we're trying to instill in people here. And, I think it's interesting. You can't go anywhere throughout the mountains or the Commonwealth and to any of these small communities and not find a difference maker, a mover and shaker from the University of Pikeville, whether they were an athlete or not. I tell people that really, quite honestly, we could succeed from the Commonwealth and be our own place, our own state. And Pikeville would be the state capital and UPike would be the flagship institution. Now, if I could get some of these jokers to quit sending all their money to Lexington, keep it here in Eastern Kentucky, some of these fellers with money to help us build Bear Mountain and do some things, it'd be beneficial. But I think the kids that go off to Division I stops and then come home, they realize not all that glitters is gold. And the opportunity to come home and build something special here with us is really unique. And, I think I didn't grow up here, but I grew up in a very similar kind of environment in terms of, people loving each other and respecting each other and taking care of each other. And that's what kind of place Pike County and Eastern Kentucky in general and Central Appalachia overall really is. So we really want to be a football program and an athletic department that honors that kind of culture and commitment to each other. So I think it's pretty cool if you come out and watch a football game to see our guys and see what they do, who they are. And, whether they're from Pike County or America Samoa or any place in between, I think we've got some guys that people can, really respect and admire in terms of their commitment to, football and the university and each other.
You play Thursday night. Your opponent is who, Coach?
Yeah, Campbellsville University. Jake Russell is coming over to play us. His second year there at Campbellsville University. Great guy. He was an All-American quarterback there and actually took over the Kentucky Christian program when I came to UPike and spent 2 years there and then had the opportunity to go home. And so, he's really getting things going. He's done a good job recruiting and really transfer driven and done some things. But, they're coming over. We won that game last year, 28-27 on a quarterback sneak. To win the game, like we kind of run that brotherly push stuff that the Philadelphia Eagles like. And when your quarterback's 270, it's almost like cheating. So, but we expect a battle with them. Our first 4 games, non-conference slate's pretty tough. We've got first 2 games at home with Campbellsville, and then we got Georgetown coming over, who number 3 in the country. Hopefully they get beat up a little bit when they go to Montana Tech to play the week before. Maybe a little jet lag.
Yeah.
But then we flip around and go to, University of Cumberland's and play over there in Williamsburg against Shan housekeeper, long time Bill Cronin assistant there at Georgetown, who I think the world of. And then we go down to Faulkner University in Montgomery, Alabama, and play a crossover Mid-South game with those folks. And I spent 4 years there as the office coordinator, so it's always good to go home and see some people you love and respect and admire. And then we start conference play with Reinhardt. So, and then we got 6 straight there and excited about that. But, we've also added Rio Grande into the league, not this year, but next year. So the league's expanding to 7. We'll get 7 games, 8 overall teams. And, we'd love it if Midway would go from sprint football, which is 178 pounds or less, to big boy football and give us another in-state opponent over there in the greater Lexington area. But we're really trying to grow this league and, continue to find geographic opponents that fit. So I think it's a big time move by our president and Kelly Wells to get us in this league. I think it's been a much better fit geographically. All the conference tournaments for all the other sports, football doesn't have a conference tournament, but basketball, baseball, softball, all those folks, volleyball is right down the road in Kingsport, Tennessee. So, you really get an opportunity to go watch some of our folks in Kingsport, and still get home to your own bed in the evening. So I think it's a really good fit, the Appalachian Athletic Conference.
Yeah. I got a couple more questions for you, Coach Tanner. Go ahead and ask Coach some questions.
Well, Coach, real quick, you mentioned the Bear Mountain project. What's the latest on that development? And we've talked about it on the show before, and I work in Pikeville, so I'm somewhat familiar with it. But maybe give the latest on that development, and for folks who are unfamiliar, kind of an overview of what all's going to be up there. And there's some pretty cool stuff going on up there.
Yeah, absolutely. About 330 acres we've purchased up there, just opposite the Bob Amos Park, which is kind of the recreation epicenter of Pikeville. Just overlooks the high school there, and Highway 23. We're going to house a football soccer combination complex there with a 3-story end zone building with training rooms and locker rooms and meeting rooms and coaches' offices and weight room and the whole nine for football and soccer. Stadium's going to be state of the art. Video board. My dream is as a father of 3 daughters to see a daddy-daughter night out on the turf watching some Disney movies and such. In addition to that, you're going to end up with a turf baseball complex and a separate turf softball complex, and then a standalone track and field complex, with a grass infield for all the jab and hammer and all the throws you want to do. And I think, one of my big dreams is to see the Special Olympics come to Eastern Kentucky for the first time, to have a track facility here that's first class, host regionals, but to also bring some things that are going to allow us to service, the community in a different way. We want it to be the epicenter of sport for, sport in Central Appalachia. And we've had some really good lead gifts. We acquired $8.7 million from the state of Kentucky. It's a operation budget to build the road and some of the infrastructure, which will be a city and county road that goes right through the heart of the park, the sports park. And we've courted a bunch of people, and we've had some anonymous gifts that are very, very large. They're going to help us get that thing going. So we think in the next 2-3 months, you'll see some tractors moving dirt for the road and some different things there. And concurrently, we'll be building some of those turf, fields and different things. So it's hard to raise, that amount of money anywhere. But it's definitely tough in this point in time in the world's history, with the economy and different things and people nervous about things. But there's been some folks that really understand what the impact of this is going to be for our community, and, to be able to host regionals and different things. But also, we painted a picture that, the next time we have some, devastating floods here in the region, which is going to happen. We know that just from history. We hope to see relief workers, showering and staying in those facilities, and clean water and cleaning supplies stored there. And, I really painted that picture after my time at Missouri Southern in Joplin, Missouri, where that massive tornado came through. After I was not there for that, but I was there after the fact, and just to hear the stories of how the university was really the central location for the relief efforts and the triage, that I could see the same thing being used for this facility. So it's going to be more than a sports facility. It's going to be a facility that allows us to host a bunch of different things that are going to bring economic impact to the region.
That's awesome, Coach. Thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait to see when it's all completed, because it's, I know, even though it's going to be UPike's stuff, you're going to also share it with your high school, Pikeville High School, too. So you guys, they'll play some special events and things up there, too, won't they?
Yeah, we believe there'll be some crossover there. Obviously Hambly's a beautiful facility. We don't expect them to play home football games or anything of that nature, but we do expect there to be some other tournaments, soccer tournaments and different things. So I would tell people it's really going to be a complete outdoor campus is what it's really going to end up essentially being for the community. There'll be some walking, trails and hiking trails, cross-country tracks and different things up there, archery facility, a lot of different things. we've started a lot of sports that need a lot of love. So, you got to have space for these folks.
Yeah, no question about it. I love archery. I love watching them shoot the bows and stuff. It's fun. A lot of fun. Coach, my question, I forgot my question. Is there any time in the future that we could see the Mid-South basketball tournament come to the Pikeville Arena?
Well, that'd be a question for the Mid-South. Now that we're in the Appalachian Athletic Conference and we've left the Mid-South, I think I've talked to our conference commissioner about the potential for maybe that happening. Now, Kingsport, we have it currently at Kingsport at the Meadow. I guess it's the Meadowview Conference Center there, which is a Marriott and a big convention center where they bring in the courts. We would love to see that. We are a little bit north of center of the geographic footprint, and once again, it really comes down to if you're going to have 12 teams here and fans and administrators and trainers, that it comes back to our hotel space in the community really limits us probably from having some of those bigger events like that. Right.
Well, I hope someday that happens because I would love to see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because that would be a great, watching UK down there 2 years ago was one of the very special events, and hopefully we can see some more special events like that down there with different stuff, But Tanner, you anything else you want to ask Coach?
No, we'll let Coach go and thank him for his time this evening.
All right, I'm going to watch some red zone cut-ups tonight and see if we can get some points scored on those Campbellsville Tigers. So we appreciate all you guys do for athletics at the high school level and college level here in the region. So if you guys ever need anything, just give us a holler, guys. Thank
you, Coach. I appreciate you coming on. And I think you had a couple of kids back there a few minutes ago wanting to come to your door. So they'll come. I think they'll come back. But
they'll be back. They're always back.
Coach, thank you so very much. We will holler at you later.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Coach Corey Flip of the University of Pikeville. I tell you what, Tanner, he's done a phenomenal job taking over for Coach Holland when he moved on. And he's got the program at its highest peak now.
Yeah, he does, and I got to see them play a game last year, and he's not kidding. That CJ, their quarterback is very fun to watch. They've got a fun offense. He's a very large quarterback, and almost reminds you. I don't want to make this comparison, and people get the wrong idea that I'm comparing, but it's sort of a Jared Lorenzen type. He's just got that. He's that big, and he can throw and he can run. He's sort of like the Jared Lorenzen of NAIA football. Very, very entertaining offense to watch, and I would encourage any folks, if they've got a Saturday afternoon free and the Bears are at home, to go check them out.
Yeah. I would like to see him play that game a couple weeks with the University of Cumberland. I'd like to see that game. That'd be interesting. I'm hoping, too, eventually that YMT will start covering Union and UPike again. I liked it sometimes on Saturday afternoons when they would go down. You guys would go down there and cover those college football games. It's a lot of fun. I missed that. I'm hoping that'll happen again.
You and me both. I called a lot of Brass Lantern games, Union versus Cumberland. I called a lot of Union versus UPike games, and those always seem to be really entertaining games. Union had that quarterback, Chandler Whittlesey, and they beat UPike. That was the last time I ever called that game, which was 2016. And so UPike and Union was typically pretty competitive. So I agree with you. I would like to start covering those again too.
Now, last year's Brass Lantern game, I don't know if you remember, did not end until almost 2:00 in the morning. We need to remind everybody of that because what had happened was they got in a rain delay. And then they had a lightning delay. And they did not start back. They started at 7. They had a rain delay. They had to take teams off field. They had like 4 different delays. They didn't start till about 11:30. When sports overtime had come on, I was like, they said, it's second quarter, 7-7. I was like, okay, we're at 11:30 and you're only in the second quarter. Then I realized, weather. Then I found out by Steve Mr. Steve Black, our union man on the job, he said, "Well, CJ, we was there all night." He said, "Every time we start playing good, rain come, thunder, lightning." He said, "We probably got out of there about 1:30, 1:45." I said, "Yeah, you guys played all night." But those were the good games when you guys did those, and I missed those. And I hope that you guys sometime get the chance to do that. Some of them college games. There were some really good ball games there. I know Pike and Union, they had some great matchups. The Cumberlands, some great matchups. So, yeah, I would love to see that again.
Yeah, some of my best memories of calling sports for WYMT were those Saturday afternoon or Saturday night games at Union, Cumberland's, Pike. We did a couple games where they would play their conference opponents even when they weren't playing each other. And so I agree with you. Now that you're talking about that, CJ, it's making me kind of nostalgic for it.
I'm going to see where Mr. Daybaker is. He might have got busy. If he did, I may have to try him next week. But I was wanting to get him here, get some UK information. We'll see. We'll see if he's responding to me. We're supposed to have Coach Dixon on at 9, a little after 9, because he was doing some other stuff too. And then the Jack will be with it. But I can't. I will hope someday you get the opportunity to do that. Speaking of college football and speaking of new coaches, Morehead State. And I want to, because this is dear to your heart. And of course, Coach Flip talked about Kelly, and I'm hoping we can get him on the show here in a couple weeks and see how things are going down in Morehead. But new football coach, is it Jason
Woodman?
Woodman, and then I really want to get him on the show. I don't know if you know much about him, and you might be able to give me some contact information and see where I can get him on here. But a new beginning for Morehead, and what's your thoughts about that?
We'll see this fall. We're certainly grateful to have a new coach at Morehead, and we welcome Coach Woodman and his family to, he's a West Virginia guy. That was his last gig. Had a lot of success at that level. Was West Virginia Tech or West Virginia State. And then he's at Morehead State now. And there's a lot of question marks surrounding this team. It's always, when you're trying to handicap a school like Morehead State in the Pioneer Football League, it's sort of like a black box. You don't really know what's in it. You know some of the ingredients, but you don't know how it's going to translate on the field. I've seen some videos from practice, and they had a media day, and I read some quotes and saw some interviews, and the right things are being said. The vibes appear to be good, but let's see what happens. Let's see what product they put out on the field. And hopefully it's a winner. Yeah,
but I would like to get him on the show because I really want to pick his brain. Him being the new man on the show, because they're Morehead's in a very tough conference.
Sure.
We talk about all the time their travel. Morehead on a 9-hour flight to San Diego or way over there where they've got to go play some of the teams. I mean, it takes 8-9 hours to travel.
Right. Well, yeah, they're in the league. San Diego's in the league. Drake, which is in Iowa, they're in the league. Marist, the Marist Red Foxes are in Poughkeepsie, New York. So we fly up to New York to play them. And there's a couple new teams. One is in Minneapolis, Minnesota, one of the new teams. So travel is a bit odd. And they're the only public school in a league full of private schools, and it's a non-scholarship league. So some of these other schools are able to basically give away scholarships and not call it a scholarship, whereas Morehead doesn't really have that luxury. So, there's still financial aid, but anyway, that's a long way of saying it's always an uphill battle. And the fact that Morehead State football has been able to have the success it has had over the last decade plus is a testament to kind of overcoming some of those obstacles. But we're excited to see what the Eagles look like this fall.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. New question. I'm interested to see what Eastern's gonna be like. What they're gonna be putting a nice product on the field. I think got a lot of returning players. I want to see what they're going to be bringing to the table.
I agree. I don't know much about EKU, so I'll defer to you on that. They're in a different league than Moorhead. Of course, that used to be a huge rivalry. Moorhead.
I missed that rivalry. That was some great games with him too.
In every sport, yeah, especially basketball. So, but they're in different conferences now. Moorhead remained in the Ohio Valley Conference. So I don't see much of Eastern Kentucky. I know more about them. I follow their basketball program a little more. I like their coach, A.W. Hamilton, but I don't know much about the football program.
I know they're doing a lot of remodeling there at Eastern too. I don't know if they've started on the arena or not, but I know they were going to be working on the arena, new bleachers, new floor, redoing the locker rooms, expanding some of the arena to making it look different. I know they're in the process of doing that, and I don't know if that eventually happens. Where will Eastern play basketball? They may have placed some other places because if they start that project. I know the All-A tournament was there and it got moved for the next 4 years because of the project into the Corbin. And, this past year we saw the Corbin Arena host that All-A tournament, which was a very good tournament. Corbin did a very good job. So it'll be their second year doing that this year, but eventually Eastern's going to have to play some other places. So that'll be interesting to see where they go and who will offer up their place to let them play some games. I know when UK was remodeling Memorial Coliseum for the women and for the volleyball, Trancy was really nice to let them use their place, and some other schools were too. So we'll see if that works itself out too.
Yeah, those are some logistical issues I hadn't even thought about, but those are all good points.
Do I bring a bad point ever? I don't know. I might every once in a while. Sometimes.
I would like to think that even if you did, I would be kind and diplomatic enough not to point it out. And the likewise is true is if I brought up a bad point, you would be too kind to point it out.
Tanner, I would never point your faults because you don't have faults.
Oh, now that is not true at all.
Tanner Haseburg does not have faults. Okay, I wanted to put that on the show right here. I did want to comment behind you.
Oh, this is Murphy.
Hi, Murphy. He was walking around back through there, and I said, I hope Tanner will introduce us to the new pooch.
That is the new legal beagle.
Aha. So yes, very well. You're at your law office, right?
Right now, I'm at home.
You're at home. Okay. Yeah. I didn't know if you're still at the office or there. Okay, let's get an update on the draft. How's it going?
I have, the draft is still very much active. We are starting round 11 of 14. I have I've drafted 4 receivers, 4 running backs. My quarterback is Anthony Richardson for the Colts. And here's who I drafted at tight end.
Yeah, okay.
I kind of waited too long to draft tight end, but I was able to snag Brock Bowers, the rookie tight end for the Raiders.
You're gonna make cash. Cash is coming your way. I like him. I really do. If they can get their quarterback situation figured out, I think Brock Bowers will be their top target because they don't have a whole lot to choose from, but have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm. I'm hopeful. They already drafted a tight end the year before. They drafted that Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame, who played high school football for Covington Catholic in Northern Kentucky. So it kind of surprised me that the Raiders drafted him. I was hoping he would fall to the Bengals, but that didn't happen. So it'll be interesting to see how they use him. But I think he could be this year's Sam Laporta. Last year for the Detroit Lions, Sam Laporta out of Iowa. Kentucky fans will remember him from that bowl game. And they draft him. Rookie tight ends typically don't perform especially well, but Laporta was the exception to the rule last year, and I think the Raiders are hoping that Brock Bowers can be this year's Sam Laporta.
But is Brock Bowers really a tight end? Technically, he's we're called a tight end, but I think he's going to spend more time at being sent out on wide receiver. So I think he'll do more there. That's how Travis Kelce was. He's technically a tight end, but he plays 95% of the time in wide receiver. So I mean,
well, that would, for fantasy football purposes, I hope so, because if he's a tight end that's actually playing more as a wide receiver, I can start him in the tight end slot, and he'll get reps, and targets as almost like a wide receiver would. So I'm hopeful. It's sort of an optimistic pick, but again, I kind of waited too late to draft a tight end, and so he was still there, so I went ahead and grabbed him.
Well, it sounds like your draft is going well, and we're excited about that. All right, now we're going to take a few minutes to go over scheduling this week. The schedule for week number 1. We got a lot of good games. Got two teams playing their first game. Williamsburg and that might be just Williamsburg. I thought I had one other team playing the first game. But let's go over the schedule. You can all 3 radio teams are on the road this week. Hazard is at Harlan County. Leslie County is at Floyd Central, and Perry Central is at Breathitt County. So check your local WSGS. One of them will be on SGS, one will be on JMD, and one will be on ZQQ. So check that out, find out when that's going to happen. Don't forget, before the game, listen to Nate's Picks. Our main man, Nathan Little, picking the games, just like Dave used to do on Dave's Picks. Now it's called Nate's Picks. So check that out also before each and every game. Teams in the Mountaintop 10 that are playing this week. Corbin is playing at they're playing at Garrett County in the Garrett County Bowl. Now, this was the game last year that hurt Corbin because they got a rain delay. Game got canceled. And they didn't get, and they were one game short. And if we all remember, that ended up hurting in the RPI, and it took them having to play Boyle County in the state semifinals. So they hope that don't happen this time. But got to cross your fingers. But Corbin will be playing North Hardin at Garrett County. You got Belfry playing George Rogers Clark at Philip Haywood Stadium in the first night of the Pike County Bowl. You got Boyd County at Bell County, Somerset at Russell County, Johnson Central at Pikeville in the second night of the Pike County Bowl. Perry Central, as I said, at Breathitt County. Shelby Valley at Lawrence County. Bourbon County traveling to Williamsburg to play on that brand new surface. New press boxes, everything, as they travel to Williamsburg to play the Yellow Jackets. Betsy Lane will be at Bath County. We, of course, talked to Bath County head coach Brandon Brewer last week. Well, that was a really great opportunity to spend some time with former Prestonsburg coach and Powell County head coach. Powell County is the other team that did not play last week. And I believe they are playing this week, but I don't have it, but I know they're playing. So I'll have to get that for you. Other games around the mountains this coming Friday night. We've got one Saturday game, but we got Martin County at Pike Central. That's in the Pike County Bowl at Pikeville. Garrett County plays Middlesboro. That's in the first game at Garrett County. That's the Saturday game. Prestonsburg at Eastridge. That's in the Pike County Bowl at Pikeville. Rockcastle County at Pineville. This game is going to be played at Union College because Pineville's field is not ready yet. Berea at Link Camp. Harlan at Clay County. Harrison County at Estill County. Jackson County at Knott County. Knox Central at South Laurel. Letcher Central at Raceland. That's going to be a doozy right there. Two good quality ball clubs. Raceland took a hard one Friday night, Tanner, to a very good Ashland team. Been pretty good. You got let's see here. Lewis County at McGoffin County, Livingston Academy at Jenkins, Paris at Paintsville, Pulaski County at Danville, Shelby Valley at Lawrence County. Let me see here. Twin Valley, Virginia at Phelps, Wayne County at Clinton County, Western Hills is at Powell. So I did have it down. And Whitley County at North Laurel. That's going to be a nice game right there. Whitley County at North Laurel. They're two two teams in the Mountain Top 10. Well, they're not in the Mountain Top 10. Whitley County is, North's not, but I think North will be in the Mountain Top 10 come Monday. So we'll see how that goes as well. Joining us now for the first time since he switched places. Glad to have him. Honored to have him. A good friend of mine and Mr. Mark Dixon of the Prairie County Central Commodores. Coach, absolute honor to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Always, anytime we can fit you in, it's good. It's good things. Good things happen at Prairie Central. You're doing a really good job, Coach. This is your fourth season. I feel like you're making a lot of progress. Even though you had a rough Friday night this past Friday, I feel like the progress is there, and I feel like your program is just keep going up.
Well, I appreciate that. I saw a lot of good things from us Friday. I know scoreboard doesn't look that way. A few mistakes on my part. A few things the boys have got to clean up, and it's a little closer game. Somerset's a really good team. We just got to continue to work on ourselves and get better, and be the best team we can become district play.
A lot of coaches don't take a lot of stock in game one because you want to win, but you want to know the things that you get better when you get down the stretch run. You talk about some things you've done well, some things you didn't do well, but talk about your team as a whole because I feel like that you have got a nice team. Got some pieces back from last year. You got a really good freshman class. And I know you're excited about your middle school team, 7th and 8th grade. The future, it's nothing but up. In the air for the Commodores.
Yeah, we're playing a lot of those freshmen right now. I think we probably played 7 or 8 freshmen Friday night. And, a lot of times winning that first game is it's always good to start off on the right foot, but sometimes it's a little misleading. Sometimes you can, because the other team is just trying to get the kinks out as well. And, we just want to. Last year, I think we came out pretty hot, and then third game of the season, we really had a big letdown and saw some things we had to fix. So, we get to fix some things early this year. But now I like my team. I've got a senior-dominated offensive line. I thought our offensive and defensive line played well the other night. I thought we played good against the run. We got some things to work on in the passing game, defensively and offensively, but. I thought we did some good things Friday night, something to build on.
Yeah, the score didn't indicate it, but I was listening to some of the game, and I felt like that you guys were there was this thing here, a thing there, a little thing here, a little thing there. You clean that up, you're heading down the pathway good. But then we talked about and the schedule don't help you none this year either, Coach. You spend 3 of the first 4 games on the road. And you only play 4 home games. So your team's going to have to learn to play on the road a lot this year. But that's nothing new for you because you've had teams in the past that haven't spent a lot of time on the road. And that's when they started playing their best football when they keep saying, okay, well, my back's against the wall. I've got to step up. We've got to learn to play on the road. We got to be a good football team. And that's when they start playing.
Yeah, when you put the pads on, doesn't matter where you're at. You got to come out and execute. And, sometimes it's tough to get on the road, but those teams that you enjoy coaching or that do big things really doesn't matter where they play. They just want to play the game, and they get out there and they play well. So, we said we've got some young guys out there playing. We got some older guys too that's leading us, and those guys have got to step up and lead us. And if they do that, then I feel like our season can be okay this year. We can build on our program and continue to get better and get these young guys some experience as well in the process.
I talked about your schedule. You got Brent this week. We're going to talk about that in just a minute because it's a big game. Your team is the last 2 times you went to Prairie Central. You went to Jackson. You've been heavy underdogs. They've not gave you a chance to win, and you've won both matchups in a high-scoring affair. Then you finally get to come home and play Lawrence County, and then you got to go back on the road and you got to go to Log Mountain and play Bell County. But these early games, tough opponents. Makes your team better because district play, your district is tough as anybody's. You got Letcher Schicker who looked really good Friday night. Corbin looked good again. Whitley County's coming on the rise. You guys got a tough district. Talk about this coming up game with Breath County. Like I said, the last 2 times you went to Jackson, you've been an underdog heavy, but you come out with 2 nice road wins there in Jackson.
Yeah, going to Breathitt County, you're going to get a tough opponent all the time, and they've got really good coaches. Their players play hard. They're tough. They're physical. It's the type of team that we want to be too. We want to be tough and physical. We want to be solid. They're coached really well. They do a great job, and they've got some state championships under their belt, and that's what everybody's searching for. But those boys put a lot of pride down there, and I like those guys. I like the way they play. Got a lot of respect for them, especially their coaching staff. And it's just going to be a tough game, going down there and playing. But we just got to go execute. We got to do our job and play our game. And we talk to our boys all the time that the team on the other side is not the team that beats us. It's us. If we don't execute and do our things right, then that's what happens. So we got to go out and execute and play well Friday.
I've known you a long time. I know you love to play a tough schedule because it makes your kids better. Of course, next year when we have realignment, one of your opponents will not be in your district no more. Like your Central's moving out. They're going to 3A. It will just be a 14 district. So that means you're going to have to pick up an extra game that's a non-district game. But I've known you for a long time. Tough scheduling makes you better. Explain why, because a lot of people don't understand it. They think that you play a tough schedule, it hurts your kids. I don't think so. I believe it makes you better because in the end, you're going to be more prepared to play in the playoffs when it gets that time.
A good team, when you play a tough schedule, a good team shows you what your weakness is. And then you get a chance to go back and fix that. Not every game's a win. But you learn you learn from the tough games. That's when you learn. You don't learn from an easy game. There's been a lot of times over my career I played a team that that made it easy on us, and it didn't make us better. Those were the most disappointing nights when you went out there and put a running clock on a team early. I mean, you're glad you could do that, and you're glad for your team and your talent and all that stuff, but you really didn't accomplish anything that night. You couldn't get any better. So, I think playing a tough team, playing a tough schedule is going to allow you to go back and fix some things. And, the kids, it can be a two-way street. The kids, they've got to buy into that. They've got to understand that you're working to make them better. The schedule is going to make them better. You're going to take a few lumps on the way. You just can't give up. You just got to keep fighting, and that's going to make you a better football player. And down the road, it's going to make us a good football program because we're going to play good teams. We're going to learn how to compete with those guys.
Tanner, questions for Coach?
Coach, you've coached state championship teams, two appearances in the state title game at Hazard. That state championship, you obviously know you've got to get your team peaking at the right time. Can you talk about how differently you coach in the beginning of the season compared to how you want to be coaching those guys later in the year?
Well, we've got a motto. I've had a motto, and I kind of got this off Coach Haywood years ago. We just try to, our goal as a coaching staff is to go out there every day and be a little better than we were the day before. We tell our kids to find something they didn't feel like they did well the day before, get better at that, and I think our kids are responding to that. I think they're doing well there. Like I said, we had a letdown Friday, but I think it's going to help us later in the year. But as far as coaching differently, I don't think you coach differently. I think you go out there every day with the same goals in mind. I think as the year goes on, you get a few more tendencies on teams because you get to see more film on them and things like that. So maybe your game plan's a little better. Maybe the kids will know the team a little better. But for the most part, you're going to coach the same way all the time.
That makes sense, Coach. Good to see you and talk to you again. Look forward to hopefully calling one of your all's games later this season on Game of the Week.
That sounds good. Love to have you.
Coach, let's talk about your middle school. I'm excited about them. Last year, they made the championship game of the KBA. I guess it's called a KBA. It's called so many different things. I don't know what to call it. Those kids are now freshmen playing for you. You got another great 7th and 8th grade team group of kids here. And your 5th and 6th grade is looking really good, I hear. Talk about your middle school and elementary programs and your feeder program, because how important it is to get Prairie Central, a lot of people, you know this. You've been around there a long time. Pre-Central's known as a basketball school. No, it's known as a football school too. Because with you there, you're a great coach. I've known you a long time. I know you've got this program. You've turned them around really quick. But this feeder program you got coming up, you got to be excited about it because there's a lot of great athletes in it.
Yeah, Timmy Neese that runs my feeder program, he does a really good job. He handles the kids really well, handles his coaching staff really well, and he's getting numbers out for us, and he does the right job of, and he's got some coaches with him, some young coaches that's played college football. I've got a really good middle school football staff, and I think that's showing when they line up on the field on. Whenever they play, they line up out there and they're ready to compete. We've had some good players. We've got 22 of those guys, I think, that are freshmen this year. There was 8th graders last year. And then I think maybe 12 to 14 coming up next year. So that's two good sized classes. And they're competing hard this year. I think they went and played South Laurel. I watched them on film against South Laurel. I didn't get to go to the game, but they competed hard. They played hard, and they're physical. And that's what it takes. It takes you being physical and being a good football team. You got to be able to hit some people and move some people.
You also you're having a big freshman class. That means you need your JV program to be strong this coming season. So they're going to get a lot of reps. They're going to probably get 18 games in. Talk about that a little bit because I know JV competition will be starting up here pretty soon.
Yeah, we've got I think we play about 8 games total. One or two of those games are going to be freshman games where we're going to play our 9th graders against another school's 9th graders. I think we're going to go to Madison Central and do that. They have a really good program. I coached down there in 2000, I think 2001 and 2002, and they have their own separate freshman team. They practice separate. It's a little different with us up here in the mountains. We don't have those kind of numbers. But I do have them this year. But that's a rarity most of the time. So, and a lot of those guys are stepping up and, like I said, playing varsity right now. So, we've got a good JV schedule. Our boys are going to play some really good teams, and we got to compete against the best in order to be the best.
Yeah, ain't no question about it. Coach, I'm excited for your team. I know you took a hard defeat the other night, but you guys will bounce back. They're tough. I've been around these kids a lot the past 2 years. I've been learning about them, and I find out that the Pre-Central kids are tougher than nails. And you guys got a big game Friday night coming up against Breath County. If you can't be there, you can listen to it on the radio. Hopefully, you can be there for them. Everybody travel up to Jackson. It's not a bad trip. 30 minutes total. Go up there to support your Commoders as they got a big game, Coach. Coach, I want to thank you so much for being with us. Tanner, anything else you want to ask Coach before we let him go?
Oh, Coach, thanks for your time. Good luck the rest of the way, man.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. I appreciate what you guys do for our kids here in Eastern Kentucky. It's big for us. I appreciate it.
Coach, appreciate it very much. I will be hollering at you again. We'll talk soon.
All right, thank you.
You're very welcome. Head football coach Mark Dixon of the Prairie County Central Commodores as they get set to play Breathitt County on Friday night there in Jackson. That should be a really good ball game. But you know what? Coach Dixon's done a great job with this Commodore team, Tanner.
Yeah. And, a few years ago, he makes the switch from Hazard to rival Perry Central and has took over that program. And, he obviously he knows how to have success. Had the state championship at Hazard, actually 2 state championship game appearances, 1 state title. And so Coach Dixon knows how to do it. And it was good to hear from him this evening.
Yes, great. I like when I can get him on there because I like talking with him. He's very smart, very intelligent, a great coach. I've known him a long time. When he was the Hazard, I like talking to him. And I still like talking to him now because he's very, very, very knowledgeable, very friendly. Coach staff's been with him a long time, and but if you ain't seen their middle school program play, I will suggest you go out and check them out. They are very good. They got a freshman quarterback that I didn't get to mention with him. They're high on, and I don't know if he'll get much reps on the field this year, but eventually watch out for him. He had big numbers last year in the middle school, and he was a very big. Everybody was excited to watch him.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point, CJ, in that having the same coaching staff and being able to have continuity amongst your assistant coaches, not only is that a telltale sign of a great coach, who has longevity in the profession, but it leads to success on the field. The continuity of your coaching staff translates directly to wins and losses. So, if you're a high school football coach trying to build a program, you're jealous for that level of continuity and lack of turnover on a coaching staff. So I think that's when you look around and kind of survey the landscape of high school football in Eastern Kentucky, that's the programs that are successful, the Belfries, the Pikevilles, the Corbins, the Johnson Central, those programs keep a lot of their assistant coaches. And then when their assistant coaches do leave, it's usually to take head coaching jobs at other schools. So I think that's a big key.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And we talked about early how we saw 10 or more new coaches win Friday night. We hadn't saw it in a long time. You got a lot of really veteran coaches though that are still doing good things with their programs. And we talked about his numbers. Prairie Central does have the most football players they've ever had in their school's history probably playing. And that's a good thing. That's what you want. You get your numbers up. And listen, next year when they have realignment, you're going to have a whole new schedule. So you're going to play new opponents probably. You're going to keep a few of the older opponents you play. But you're going to have a lot of new opponents. You're going to have some new teams you want to try to play. And I like that too. He's also getting some JV work, but he's also getting freshman work with his freshman game only. I like that.
Yeah. I there's one sport you want to have numbers for, it's football, because injuries pile up over the course of the season. It's a lot of wear and tear. Guys get fatigued, guys get run down, not only over the course of the season, but even just in a game, to be able to have some numbers to throw out there. And then the more you build a program, you'll start to see more and more kids wanting to come out. They'll no longer walk the halls of the high school and not come out for football. They'll want to be out there. So I agree. When you start seeing these schools add, and I guess Perry Central, they're in Class 4A now, right? They're not 5A anymore. They used to be a 5A school, so the numbers have dwindled a little bit. But anytime you can see them get that number of kids out, that's really encouraging.
Yeah. We're going to eventually, I need to go over next year's realignment because we have some teams moving. Belfry's going to 2A. Jackson County is going to play a 2A schedule. Letcher Central's going to 3A. We got one team that was in 4s going to 5. We got a lot of movement, but we got all of our mountain teams, I think, playing in a district. So that will be something different because usually we have right now we have 4 teams that do not play in districts. Phelps, Jenkins, Jackson County, Morgan County do not play in district play. All 4 will be in district play next year.
And Morgan County actually beat Eastridge this past Friday night.
They did. Big win for them. I don't think a lot of people thought Eastridge would lose that game to Morgan County. But Morgan County's not real bad. And they're playing a 10-game schedule, but they're not playing in the playoffs. They're not playing district play. They're just trying to make their program better to where they can be able to compete in the playoffs next year or, complete district play. But that's big time as well. I do want to mention an event's coming up, and I don't know which game it's going to be. You all know that Tim Couch is going to be coming back to Leslie County for a game coming up. The game has not been chosen. Well, it has been chosen, but it's not been leaked out to when it's going to be. It's a big event because they're going to put a statue of Mr. Tim Couch. Some other things are going to happen. It's a big event. KSR's done said they're going to be there. This is a flyer. I'm taking a guess. YMT will be there. It might be the game of the week, whenever that game does take place, because an opportunity to get a chance to see Tim Couch again and talk with him has to be something that YMT is going to jump all over. And, there's going to probably be a really big crowd there that night. I don't know which game they have chosen, but I'm going to try to find out next week because I'm going to try to have Alan Rice on the show with me. Alan, if you keep up with the Eagles Nest on Facebook, they do everything Leslie County. He'll be able to tell me more of when this event's going to happen. And because it's a big time when Tim Couch comes back to the mountains. And I think a lot of people like to see that. A lot of people like to be a part of that. And if you got KSR coming, it's a big event.
Well, and CJ, that was when I first really started watching college football in that era, in the the mid to late 90s, early 2000s, and when Tim Couch and Hal Mummy and who else, Craig Yeast, who else was on that team? That was kind of the sweet spot for so many people who grew up watching college football and kind of came of age watching. And so that, that will certainly be a special evening. I do have some trivia regarding Tim Couch, if you would be interested, and a connection to the legal community.
I'm excited. Let's go to it. I'm ready to go.
Tim Couch did not make many mistakes at all in not only his high school career, but college career either. But on one particular evening, and this tells you how great of a quarterback he was, that this story is memorable because it was one of his really rare mistakes. He threw a pick six against Johnson Central. And the player who intercepted the pass and ran it back for a touchdown was Ryan Allison, who is now a practicing attorney in Mount Sterling. Ryan Allison practiced for a long time here in Prestonsburg in the law office of Ned Pillersdorf, where I now practice. And he was Ned's one associate before me. And so we both came through and worked under Ned in Ned's office. And Ryan Allison, who's a very successful attorney now, was on that Johnson Central team and recorded a pick six against Tim Couch. So, and he enjoys telling that story. I don't even know if Tim would remember that, but he didn't throw many interceptions. But on that night he did, and certainly that will be a special night when they put up a statue of him. Obviously, extremely deserving. And where physically are they going to put it? Like, is it going to be right by the stadium, by the school there?
I understand it's supposed to be close to the end of the field by the concession stand.
Okay.
What I'm understanding. It's supposed to be a big event. Like I said, KSR is coming. When people find out about it, they're going to want to come because they're going to flock to Tim. They're going to want, Tim's still a popular man in the state.
Oh, sure.
But he's still popular to Leslie County fans. Leslie County people in general. And this is an event, though, that's been way too long in the coming. Should have been, but that ain't the point. It's going to happen. And this is going to be a fun time. Now, Tim is a great guy, and Tim understands. Tim's done a lot for Leslie County behind the scenes, and people, But it's going to be a fun night, and I think that when we find out this game, when it's going to be, we're going to let you all know. And if like I said, KSR is going to be there. There's probably going to be a lot of media people there to see Tim, to want to do the game, because they get the opportunity to chat with Tim and see what's on his mind. Never know. Like YMT did the game, maybe you guys get him in the press box. He can spend some about a little bit of time with you guys talking about the past and what's he's doing for the future. But it's a big event. Everybody's excited about it. I know they're still keeping it hush, so not letting it out. You look at the schedule for Leslie County; they got a couple home games coming up. One of them that really intrigues me and makes me think it might be that night. And they got Clay County coming to town. That would be, to me, a perfect night to do it. Mm-hmm. You're playing our travel. Tim Couch played a ton of ball in the Appalachian Bowl down at Clay County. He played against Clay County many times. He played against the great Deshae Henson. You all remember Deshae Henson, who played running back for the Tigers. Clay County had some really great teams when Tim was there. But we played some really great teams in the Appalachian Bowl, which they don't have anymore, and which they would bring back. Maybe someday. But that would be the perfect game. Now, I don't know if that'll be the game because they're keeping it hush. But I'm hoping I can get Alan on the show. We can talk about it, and maybe it will be released pretty soon. KSR must know something. They must be talking with some people that know, so people will know more about it. The reason I bring it up is because I still think Tim Couch is still a big figure in the state because for what he done for Leslie County and what he done for UK, and even for what little bit he played in the NFL. Mm-hmm. He done a lot, and Tim Couch is still a tremendous figure, and that it's going to be when that night is. That's going to be a great night, and I think a lot of people like to be a part of it.
Had you already graduated high school by the time Tim Couch came through, or he was probably before you got to high school? I
was there. I was part of that. I was the manager. I was ball boy. I was there at the Johnson Central night that happened.
Okay. So can you confirm that story?
That is true. Yes.
Okay.
Leslie County, that was the year they played. If you remember, they played Knox Central in Cardinal Stadium. And it was only, what did they finish? 12 and 2. 12 and 1, 12 and 2, I think. They didn't have a close game all year. They did lose one regular season game, and then Highlands beat them. Covington Catholic beat us at home. That was the game when Catholic come out, warmed up. All of our fans watched them warm up. And they was fumbling the ball all over the place. Looked like the Three Stooges out there just fumbling the ball. Hey, this is going to be big. Opening drive. We go 75 yards, 7 plays, we're 7-0. YMT was there. Not for that. They were there for highlights. They didn't shoot games. They were there for the Belfry. They was there. That was Tim's junior year. This is the game I'm talking about. But we 7 plays, 75 yards, scored, 7-0. We didn't get past midfield the rest of the game. So they ended up beating us like 30, 40-something to 7. So, yeah. So, and then the Tim's senior year, they opened up with the Highlands in the game down at Lexington Catholic. Win that game. They have a big record. That's when Tim broke the record against Belfry on TV. And then, of course, they would go to Highlands in week 14, and the Highlands had to, they were ready this time. They wasn't going to be caught off guard twice. And if you've never been to Highlands for a football game, let me tell you, that is the most chaotic place that I have ever been at. You got people standing. It looked like the Belfry. It looked like the Boyle County Bell County game last year. Fans on both sides, completely full. People standing around the fence, and I mean they were loud. And I don't want to tell a lie. I'm trying to remember. Highlands had a really good quarterback. I'm thinking Jarrett Lorenzen was maybe a young kid then. Because wasn't he the starter after Tim?
I think so, yeah.
So I think that Tim and Jarrett played against each other, right? You want to get my notes right? So that was a long time ago, and it was a great game. But it wasn't great for us. We got drilled. But what Tim did for the state was very big. When he got the UK, it was even bigger. I think Tim Couch, there's 2 people right now that can say that they've done a lot for their state in different sports. Tim Couch in football and Reed Shepherd in basketball.
Yep.
Reed Shepherd, so he's going to start with the Houston Rockets. Never started a game at UK, but he's one of the most influential players and kids of all time in Kentucky. And it's those kids you don't get kids like that often, but when you do, you hang on to them because they're special. And I think that the Hardin County kid's really going to have a good career at Kentucky. I think Trent Noah is going to play. He may not play a lot. I hope he gets to play a lot this year, but if he don't, I hope he stays in there, learns, because I think Coach Pope will give him an opportunity. And Travis Perry, they're going to work together as a duo, and they're going to be good for the future. And I look for them two to have a tremendous career at UK.
Did you watch the state championship game? I was lucky. I got to drive down that Saturday night. Did you watch it on TV? And I wonder.
I watched it on my phone because we had left. We left that morning because we stayed until Saturday morning, and then we left because I was with Perry Sickrell that helping him. So we left Saturday morning, but I did watch it on when I got back home, and I loved every minute of it. It's one of the best games I've seen. Hardin County. It was like two big icons. Now, when they had the game, it was great to watch. But now they're together. You give them a year, oh man, you got something special on your hands. And you know what? I like Kentucky's team this year in basketball. I think there ain't a lot of superstars on that team. There's just a collection of basketball players that like to play the game.
Well, and that's what the fans wanted, right? They wanted to migrate away from the one and dones. Maybe you get a one and done, one or two every year or two to mix in, but they want local kids, and that you've got the local flavor on this year's team, and they want players that are going to stay around. By the way, CJ, I got to give you an update. Murphy, these are my fantasy football notes.
Oh no, he's eating them up. Oh no.
Yeah, but luckily the draft is winding down now.
Okay.
And so I just made my last pick, so I can.
Oh, here we go. Let me get the what's the breaking news? Dun, 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 dun. Okay, go.
What news am I breaking? What am I revealing?
You're giving your last pick here. You gave us several picks.
My last pick, I always save. I picked the kicker last, so I took Matt Gay, the kicker for the Indianapolis Colts.
You went Colts players couple here in the rounds. That's we was talking about you got Richardson, and they were talking about how in the preseason game against the Bengals how unsure he looked of himself. He wouldn't run. He was out all last year with injury. Maybe he's gun shy now. He still don't have the experience as far as games because he didn't play a lot of games in college. So what do you think about that? Because I will say this much: this group of quarterbacks that were drafted in this year's draft have played the preseason. Every one of them's been impressive. All five of them that were drafted in the first round, there's a good chance that 4 of them 5 is going to start. Because we already know that Michigan's quarterback is done for the year with a knee injury, J.J. McCartney. And he would have started for the Vikings if he got hurt.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to Anthony Richardson, if you watch that preseason game, he led the Colts on a touchdown drive. They scored a touchdown, and the coach left him in. And if they would have pulled him out right at that moment, the perception would be totally different if he hadn't played anymore that night. But then he went back in and played, another series, and then he throws the pick 6. So, if that doesn't happen, I think we're maybe evaluating his performance in that game and any perceived shakiness a little differently. I'll also say this. I don't know this for sure, but I am guessing the coaching staff told him to not run in a preseason game because it is just not worth, it's not worth the injury risk in a preseason game. Everybody knows he's fast and they know he can run. So I would suspect that's the reason we haven't seen him use his legs a whole lot. I didn't draft a backup quarterback, so I hope he doesn't get hurt.
But can't you always go back and get one later?
Yeah, I can pick one up off the waiver wire, but it's a question of who's going to be available. But anyway, I can tell you that Will Levis got drafted in this draft, and he got drafted in the one I did the other night as well. So he's a popular – I suspect that fantasy football league drafts outside of Kentucky probably don't see Will Levis drafted very often.
I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's. I think the Texans. I think the Tennessee Titans are doing the. I think they're going to be better than what people think. Listen, you got all these preseason rankings. You got some teams that are going to be pretty bad, but you got some teams I think it's going to be better. Listen, there'll be very few teams with 10 wins, 4 or 5. You're going to have a lot of 9-9, 9-7, 10-6, 11-5. 11, you're going to have a lot of big time winners on any given Sunday. You can be beat. You look at everybody's got the top 5. They've got 49ers, Lions, Texans, Chiefs, Eagles, then Ravens. Okay, well, be honest. Can Detroit honestly have another season like they did last year? Past results are going to tell you no. But if Coach Campbell if he's that good a coach, then they will. But I don't think we're going to get the same Super Bowl. I don't think the Chiefs have won 3 in a row. Do they win 4? They could. They're still, until you beat them, they're the champs. But I'm more of I like to see a different champion. But it's okay. I mean, I was wanting Detroit to get there because it's been fun to watch Chiefs Lions, because that'd been week 1 game when the Lions beat the Chiefs down in Kansas City, and that would have been a rematch, and it would have been, but it was a good Super Bowl anyway between them and the 49ers. So, but I think the preseason ratings. Watching the preseason, I've seen some teams be better than I think others. Than some teams, I don't. I thought the Bengals were horrible in preseason. They didn't get anything accomplished, but they tried. They didn't play their starters a lot either. I don't think Joe Burrow probably played 4 series total, 5 at the most.
Actually, he only played 1 series. He played that 1 series against the Bucks in the preseason game. They went on a touchdown drive. He threw a 10-yard touchdown to T. Higgins, but that was the only drive he played. And, of course, Jamar Chase didn't play in any of the preseason games and just now returned to practice today. He was holding out for a contract extension.
Well, they're about to give him one anyway, so I don't think that's going to be a problem.
No, he'll get it eventually, but he's still got a year left on his deal plus the franchise tag. So that's not how the Bengals operate. They just don't give those huge paydays in advance like that. Now, they did for Burrow, but that's the exception rather than the rule. So I'm not as concerned about that. I think, the Bengals have, they've got one of the 5 or 6 most talented rosters in the NFL, but it's all about, can they keep Joe Burrow healthy? And their big first-round pick, Mims, the offensive lineman out of Georgia, he's hurt. He's probably going to miss the first game or 2. So, if they can keep Burrow upright and keep him healthy, then, they got a chance to make a deep run.
Yeah, no question about it. Dave must have got busy. Jack may have not had all the information. Armando told him he did send it to him, but apparently he did not see my message. So I don't think we're going to have any more guests. So this will be me and you for the remaining 20-some minutes. So let's talk a little WYMT Mountain Basketball Classic. The teams have been announced, and I know that's right down your alley because you're always excited when it's Mountain Classic time. The field has been. Have you seen the field yet?
I was about to say, CJ, I've not even looked at the field yet.
Well, this will be your first taste of the field. Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. The girls' teams, you got Corbin, the defending champion. North Laurel. They're in it. Corbin, Harlan girls, Knox Central. They're probably the favorite. Denver, North Laurel. Perry, got a new head coach. Best players now at Knox County. We'll get in that in a second. Knox County's in the tournament. Prestonsburg and Paintsville. That's the girls. The boys, Hardin County, Clay County, Pineville, Knox County, Perry County, Hazard, Breathitt, and Prestonsburg. So, thoughts?
Well, the first thought I think on the boys' side is you have to start with the defending champion, Harlan County, and that's been a long-standing rule at the Classic for as long as I've been involved, that if you win, that seals your invitation to get to come back next year, because every team should have a chance to defend its title.
Well, now there has been a couple years they did dismiss that. They didn't let the favorite come back. I think they've done it maybe 4 times, but 90% of the time the favorite does return.
Right. That's that's the thinking. And my friend Josh McKinney, who's on the committee, I've talked to him about that before, and I know he believes that a team should always get a chance to defend, even if they lose a lot. So it's disappointing when you've got a team coming back and you feel like that they're not going to be anywhere near as good as they were the year before. But let me say this about Harlan County. Obviously, they're losing arguably the best player in the whole state in Trent Noah, but they've still got some talent on that roster. Maddox Huff, one of the best young players. I mean, he'll play Division I college basketball. And if you remember, CJ, that semifinal game in the 13th region tournament against Clay County, Maddox Huff was the hero of that game. He hit that big 3-pointer that in the fourth quarter that really changed that game. Harlan County, they end up coming within a whisker of winning a state title. They almost didn't get out of the 13th region semis if it hadn't have been for Huff. And, obviously there were some other players who stepped up too, but that's a long-winded way of me saying that Harlan County, I think, will still be one of the favorites in the Mountain Classic this year. Perry Central always plays well in the Mountain Classic. Shannon Hoskins really cares a lot about trying to win that tournament. And Perry Central takes it to another level. And obviously they did in the 14th region tournament last year as well, as they were probably the 3rd or 4th favorite to win that thing and ended up winning it. So I think they'll be there in the mix. Who were some of the girls' teams again?
Corbin, North, Harlan, Knox, KX, Perry, Knott, Prestonsburg, and Paintsville. So
Corbin and North Laurel, that's been the championship game the past 2 seasons.
Corbin's lost a lot now,
Right.
But,
yeah.
I think they got in because, they still got a couple of players that's pretty good. They got a young group of kids decent. They want to see. I think that was probably what the committee's thinking. Let's give them another chance. We've had them in 2 years when they've had the superstars. Let's see them with their young team. North, still solid as a rock. The team that I think can win it is Knox Central.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, they got the girls. They picked up the transfer from South Laurel, the point guard. They already had, what's her name, the senior All-American. She's unbelievable. I like him a lot. So what, Knox County, listen, you pick up a McLaurin's girl, and, Perry Central has a new coach. Former Letcher County Central assistant coach, one of their best players of all time. I wish I can't think now, but she's now the head coach there, and a lot of change on the girls' side. There's a lot of these teams, new faces and new places. Now, one thing you mentioned, Harlan County, about the Cottrell. I want to bring up the Cottrell kid. We're still praying for him. He had an accident during the summertime. They're hoping to get him healthy, and hopefully he'll be back too. Because, they've got, 3 starters or 4 starters back from that team last year. And your dark horse team there is Pineville. Pineville's got everybody back. Sawyer Thompson, they got all-star 5 back. Dangerous. Real dangerous. And that Prestonsburg team is not going to be bad.
Yeah, I agree with you, CJ. And, I echo what you said about sending prayers up for Reggie Cottrell. He really came on toward the end of the year. He wasn't bad during the regular season, but by the end, he had very clearly carved out a really defined role, and he brought a lot of energy.
Oh, he's big time in the state tournament. He was huge.
Yeah. Well, there's that famous photo of him flipping his hair straight up in the air. He looks like his hair is 10 feet tall. on the Rupp Arena floor. But man, what a freak accident! A fireworks accident where he suffered the injury. So we're praying for him and
we continue to pray for him.
Get him back. Hoping Harlan County can see him back on the court soon. But on the girls' side in the Mountain Classic, it's been dominated by the 13th region. I mean, for basically the whole since they started and expanded the girls' bracket, it's been the 13th region. I mean, North Laurel and Corbin the last few years. Before that, Macy Morris at Bell County, they won it a couple of times. Harlan County, when they had Blair Green, they won it once or twice.
Harlan, when they had the Brock girl.
Jordan Brock, who went on to play at Tennessee Tech. Mm-hmm. And actually, they won the Ohio Valley Conference. So anyway, will somebody come back out of the 13th region again, even with all those players graduating, transferring, moving around? It's just for whatever reason, the 13th region has had the numbers of all the other teams that have from the other regions that have competed on the girls' side of the Mountain Classic the last decade or so. So that's an interesting storyline to follow. And then who were some of the other boys' teams? I don't have it right in front of me.
Harlan County, Clay County, Pineville, Knott County, Perry, Hazard, Breathitt, and Prestonsburg. Now, a team that we're not talking about at all, we've not mentioned, is Hazard Bulldogs. Ridge Beverly's now to Hazard. They picked up a couple of new kids. Hazard has been, during the summertime, I've seen some preseason polls that Hazard ranked top 20 in the state. That's how good Hazard is. Question is is there enough balls to go around for such great talent? Just like there's that got a collection of Ridge is really going to help him in point guard because he'll be able to distribute the ball. That allows other people like the two big superstars they had last year. This is a Hazard team that like a lot of people during the summertime thought, well, that they're the best team out of all three regions, and they were highly talked about.
Well, and you can't mention Ridge Beverly and the Mountain Classic without bringing up the fact that he made one of the most legendary shots in the history of the Classic a couple of years ago. It was a semifinal game it was the last semifinal on Friday night, and it was at Perry Central, and they were going against Harlan County. Harlan County was the favorite in that game, and Ridge hit that three out of the corner over top of Trent Noah and sent Perry County to the championship, where the Harlan Green Dragons ended up beating Perry in the championship. But if it hadn't have been for that, Harlan County could have won back-to-back Mountain Classic titles. So Ridge Beverly moves over from Perry Central to Hazard. I mean, my feelings on Al Holland as a basketball coach are well documented. I think he's one of the greatest to ever do it. And if you give him the talent, he's crafty. He's going to get the most out of his team. And they're going to be especially hungry, I think Hazard is, because they stumbled in the 14th Region Championship game last year. Fell to Breathitt County.
Semifinals.
Or in the semifinals, you're right. So they played Breathitt County like 2 weeks before that in the regular season at Hazard and beat Breathitt by like 30. Because I called the game with John North. And I said on the air at the time, I said, Hazard is the clear front runner for the 14th Region title. And then they stumbled in the semifinals. So they're going to be super hungry this year. And, the fact that they're adding an experienced point guard in Ridge Beverly, who knows his way around the 14th region, that's just going to make them even more dangerous.
Yeah, no question about that. And the tournament's also 1 week later this year. Usually it's been the first week in December, but because the Kentucky High School Football State Championship was moved back to the first week of December this year, because UK is not playing Louisville until the last Saturday of November, everything had to be moved back. So the Mountain Classic 38th annual will be December 9th to the 14th. Now, that could have also hampered some teams that might want to have been in the Classic. Probably couldn't be in it due to they have other events that they do in that time frame, and they couldn't cancel them or anything. So they had So I think the field we got is a good field, but I think, probably the committee had to take who could be available, who wasn't playing, schedule wise. There's only one other thing I want to see the committee do, and I hope they do this. I hope they bring back the consolation games for Saturday. I'm so sorry. Last year, I told you and Josh, you had them 2 semifinal games, then you send everybody home, and then you come back and you play the 2 finals. Listen, nobody wants to drive all, and I'm not being mean, but nobody wants to drive over to watch 2 semifinals at 10 and 12, and then you got to wait 6 hours before we play the championship game. There's nothing to do. If you got those 2 consolation games, at least they'll hang around, watch them, and you can crown your third place like we always have been in the past. I hope they do that. I'm probably not going to. It's probably going to be the same schedule as it was last year. So, but I hope eventually we get back to what we Saturday schedule like it used to be.
Yeah, and obviously I'm not on the committee. I'm not a part of any decision.
I mean, I'm not either. I'm just
that. I can tell you this. I'm always in favor of the more basketball, the better. The more football, the better. If it gives high school athletes a chance for publicity and gives them another shot to play, and can raise money, for the schools, for the tournament, then I'm in favor of it. If it can be staffed, if the logistics of it can be worked out in a way that's fair and equitable to all the players and all the schools. And I don't know all the logistical reasons behind not playing those games. There probably are good reasons for it, but there are probably good reasons playing as well.
Last year, the reason I got from several people was time frame. Just didn't have time. Listen, I understand that. They probably didn't want to come back to that third place game, but you're taking away from the tradition of the Mountain Classic. Those third place, we've had some really great third place games.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people said we play 3 games a night. You don't have to play 3 games a night. You can still play 2-2, 3-3, 2-3, whatever you want to play. But listen, more basketball, better. Listen, a lot of people, they come watch nothing against the 2 city girls teams. I'm not picking on them. There was a pretty decent crowd there to watch those games, but then everybody had to leave. It was 6 hours, 6 o'clock when they had the girls' championship game. And then the boys' championship game was right after that. Well, there was what's everybody going to do from 12:30 to 5? There's not a lot to do. I mean, a lot of people go back home. They're going to drive back. So if you lived in, say, it was North Laurel, Corbin, well, those 2 teams probably where was they going to go? I mean, they can hang around the gym there while they watch the third place game being played. Maybe even if the 2 third place games end quickly, go ahead and start your girls' championship game a little early. That ain't no harm. I know that nothing wrong with that. It's hard to, when you ain't got nowhere to go and nothing to do, it's hard everybody's not going to come. They're going to come. I thought the championship crowd last year was pretty good. But I think a lot of people, we had more if we'd had third place games. A lot of them would have stayed around watching the championship.
Well, to your point about playing the consolation games, the single game scoring record was broken a few years ago in the third place game, and that Peyton Broughton from North Laurel scored, was it 54 or 55? I don't have the record book in front of me right now, but it was something. It was either 54 or 55 points he scored, and it was on a random, late Saturday morning, early Saturday afternoon, third place consolation game. North Laurel had gotten beat out the night before in the semis, and I forget who they were even playing that day. It might have been Hazard, and he goes off for 54. So if that game hadn't been played, then
that would never happen.
Yeah, then that wouldn't have happened. So there are definitely points to be made, and those points have merit for playing those games. I don't know the logistical difficulties behind playing them, but if they find a way to do it and they say, hey, it can make money, and it's more basketball, it's more basketball for people to watch in person, it's more basketball on TV, it's more opportunities for these student athletes, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, I am too. All right, let's talk a little UK football. Then I'm probably going to go ahead and we'll get out here because we're about ready to go anyway.
Sounds good.
What do you think about Saturday? I think you're a 22.5-point favorite right now. What do you think about this UK team?
Well, Murphy is coming onto the scene here. He wants to offer some thoughts.
He's ready. Okay, he said, "Woof woof woof." He's a big Brock Vandergrift fan. Okay,
Yeah,
understood that right on the bat.
Vander Ruff.
I love it. I love it.
Well, on a serious note, CJ, it seems like Kentucky always starts slow in these games, or the season opener, and they'll be up at halftime by 3-7, and then they'll turn it on in the second half. Particularly defensively, they'll get a big turnover, maybe a defensive touchdown, and they'll pull away. But it just seems to be a pattern that they start slow in these games. So they're a big favorite, but I would say that I would anticipate another slow start.
I do too. I think especially with their running back going to be out for the game. Brokan, he's out at least 2 weeks. He'll at least be out the next 2 games. They hope to have him back for the Georgia game, but he's going to be out the next. That's what hurt him because then now you're going to have to go a little deeper in the running backs. And so you're probably going to depend on Vanderbrock having to throw it more. And we've heard so much about him that I'm excited to see him I'm finally excited to see the Georgia product hit the field.
Yeah, I am too. I really don't know what to expect from him. He certainly received a lot of hype initially. I don't know if the hype has grown as much in the last few weeks that they've been in preseason camp. I think we'll just we'll have to wait and see. I think that the defense will be good. I think they have a 2 or 3 more really good defensive backs, and Mark Stoops is always good about developing defensive backs. That was his specialty at Florida State before he came to Kentucky, and he certainly put a lot of defensive backs in the NFL. So I think the defense is going to be fine. I think it hurts having to play Georgia that early in the season. And they're in a position now, Texas and Oklahoma are in the league. The league's not getting any tougher or getting any easier. It's getting a lot tougher. And so, I think it's getting to the point where obviously you don't want to limit yourself and put a ceiling on your hopes and dreams, but 7-5 is going to be a heck of a season, I think, routinely now. 8-4, and if you ever can win 9 or 10 games, I mean, that's the Super Bowl. If they win 10 games, they may be getting in the playoff. But so I think you got to kind of recalibrate expectations now that the league is this tough, and they've still not moved to a 9-game SEC schedule. I would think eventually there's so much money to be made by playing another SEC game, and the fact that other leagues are moving to 9-game schedules. I would think the SEC would do that eventually, but they might try to hold off as long as possible because that's one more game that an elite conference team could lose and then get knocked out of the playoff. And they'd rather have as many teams. They'd rather try to get 4 or 5 teams in the college football playoff than move, than reap the benefits of a 9-game schedule.
If it's any indication to what we saw yesterday, it's going to be one heck of a wild ride in college football. Georgia Tech set the tone yesterday, and I think you're going to see a lot of upsets this year. This coming Saturday, though, is one of those days you just flip your shoes off, take your shirt off, you keep stacks around you, and just enjoy the day. Because you got some of the best games you ever watch the next 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
I agree with you.
Plus, you got the Pike County Bowl. So, great things are, busy time for everybody.
Yeah, I hope that when the folks are doing that television watching, that they flip over to the Pike County Bowl this weekend as well.
Yep. Okay. Well, let me go ahead and give a few notes, and I'll get your final thoughts, and we'll get out of here. I want to thank everybody that watched the show. I want to thank everybody that left comments. I want to thank everybody want to thank our guest. We only just had Coach Flip. I know Dave would have been here. He probably got busy. Coach Dixon was with us. Thank him so much. Jack probably got busy or didn't have the correct information. I should have double checked with him. That was my fault. I will take the blame there. But we won't thank all of our guests. I want to remind you, I will be back with you next Sunday night, September 1st. First day of September for episode 3 of the CJ Howard Show. Do not have no co-host yet. I don't have any guests. I've not had time to really focus. I've been trying to work on this, make sure everybody got the correct information. But a lot of my coaches are on X, and it's hard to get a hold of them now because you can't message unless you have the premium subscription. So it's hard to get a hold of some of these coaches. So if they're not on Facebook or they're not on TikTok, sometimes I have to try to. Maybe they'll be on Instagram. So I have to try to give them the best way I can. So a little bit at a time. Like I told you, Tanner, I hope if you can get me some information on the Moorhead coach, I would love to have him on the show.
Okay.
Also want to remind everybody, go to Facebook. I want you to go to Facebook. I want you to go like and share my sports page, the CJ Howard Sports Talk page. I want you to share it with your family and friends. I want everybody to have a part of it as well. I want you to go to my YouTube channel. We're on YouTube tonight. I want you to go over there. I want you to subscribe. I want you to tell me what you like over there. Tell me what you don't like. Give me a subscription, though. I would appreciate that very much. Eventually, I'm going to be on TikTok. You have to have 10,000 subscriptions, followers, before you can be on TikTok. Eventually, we're going to be on TikTok. So just keep looking. Eventually, we will be there. Guys, I have my Cash App in the you see it at the bottom of the screen. You also see it in the information I put on Facebook. If you want to help donate to help me get better equipment or things like that, please donate. There's my Cash App. Also, I have a GoFundMe page. I'm trying to get a vehicle. Guys, if you can help me, I would appreciate it. If there's anybody out there that's got a vehicle they want to sell cheap, I'd like to know about it. Please let me know. Leave me a message in my message box on Facebook. Tanner, give me your final thoughts, and then we'll get out of here.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, CJ. It's the best time of year. There's starting to feel that chill in the air on a few mornings. Now, it was humid today, but we're pretty soon the leaves are going to start changing. There's going to be a crispness to the air. It's football time, and I'm excited. It was fun spending a couple hours with you tonight. I'm getting that program on my hard drive now, starting to run football for 2024. And so this was a nice way to ease into it. And it was good to see you, man. Good to talk to you. Glad you've kind of landed on your feet and doing well and are back doing the show again. And I know it's going to be a great year for your show.
Yeah, I got to get my guest things. It's hard to get a hold of people if they're not, get a message to them. So I just have to do the best I can. Maybe I'll have to call the school and do it that way like I used to do. But a lot of people have contacts. They can help me get a hold of these people as well. But Tanner, always love having you. I love having Tanner about 4 to 5 times a year because there's I like having him right at the start of football, start of basketball, in the middle of basketball, and towards the last of the shows because he's always he's keeping me focused, and that's what I like. But he's a great guy. And also, guys, gals, people everywhere, if you're in the Prestonsburg area and you need a lawyer, Tanner Haseburg, attorney at law, he can help you out. He can help you out on anything, whether it be a slip and fall, car wreck, whatever your problem is. You need attorney help. Tanner Haseburg, attorney at law. Check him out. I would say yellow pages, but I don't think they have yellow pages anymore. So,
not to my knowledge, but thank you for the endorsement, CJ. That means a lot to me, buddy.
Yeah, because he'll treat you right. He'll take care of your case, and he'll get you the best outcome that's possible. Taylor, don't leave me after we get off the live stream, so I want to say something to you. We're not on the live. I want to thank everybody again for being part of CJ Howard Show, and join me again next Sunday night at 8 o'clock. This is CJ Howard, running third, heading for home, and as Casey Kasem would say, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for those stars. Good night, everybody. I love you all, and God bless you.